telecommunication engineering. So welcome once again to all of you. And today we are all gathered here for the final talk show during COVID of the Intersociety Weekly Webinar Series. And once again, welcome all of you, and welcoming all of you, I would like to start off with our session. Firstly, I would like to welcome Aishwarya from the IEEE to deliver the welcome address. Can we have you? Hello, Aishwarya, can we have you there?
Pida, you can take that role, fill it up, and go ahead. Don't wait.
Okay, sir. So on behalf of Aishwarya, I would like to welcome all of you to the Intersociety Weekly Webinar Series. We are currently in our final webinar series here, and we have all those renowned people who've been throughout the Intersociety Weekly Webinar Series there. Many familiar faces and many new faces as well. It's very nice that we get to meet all of them together, and a great welcome to all of you and to all the speakers of today. I would not rather mention each of them together, as I would be the one itself to welcome all of you individually. So it is a pleasure to have all of you today for me to see as well, and I hope it is the same for all of you as well. So welcome all of you to the Intersociety Weekly Webinar, the final talk of the series. Thank you. So next, I would like to welcome okay, now I would like to welcome Shweta. Next, I would like to welcome Professor Vikke Damodran, sir, of IIEE India, IEEE Life Senior Member, former director.
Sorry.
Hello.
Sorry, you can invite Shweta for the presentation. After that, Damodran sir will come.
Okay, so can we have that slides there so that will be much clear? So next, okay, so next I would like to welcome Sunita ma'am for the address.
Hi Fida, hi sir, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, you are audible. Yeah.
Yep. Shweta here. Yeah. Thank you, Fida, and a warm good evening to one and all. So let me also take this opportunity to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you present here. So regarding an overview about our Intersociety Weekly Webinar Series. So looking back, we began our journey on 15th April 2020, to be precise. That is almost more than 1.5 years. And it's indeed a happy and proud moment to all of us to say that we have completed almost 88 webinars so far, ever since that continuously. So every week, every Wednesday till date. So we had eminent speakers from famous and prominent institutions from different areas of expertise from different parts of the world to discuss on various relevant topics. So, and also we had supporters worldwide who have been with us throughout the journey. So thanks to each and every one of them. And we strongly believe that this series was able to provide a platform to connect with experts from different fields, which have helped the attendees in getting more insights and knowledge about various domains in depth. Also, let me take this opportunity to thank our captain, A.G. Harindralal sir, Life Senior Member at IEEE, and also Chairman of our Intersociety Activities Committee. For me personally, it has been a wonderful journey and experience to be associated with this program with him from the beginning. I am much thankful to Bijna ma'am, my professor, for introducing me to him in the first place. Also, without our volunteers, we would not have been able to pull off our series. We had almost 40 student volunteers from different colleges across Kerala who have been supporting us constantly throughout the beginning till this time, constantly. I hope this was a great experience to all of them, and thanks to each and every one of them from all the societies for making this program a grand success. And so let me hand over to Nandini to present our statistics. Over to you, Nandini.
So thank you, Shweta. So next, it is our honor to welcome Professor Vikke Damodran, sir, Fellow of IEEE India, and IEEE Life Senior Member, former Director of S&T and Environment, and ex-UN International Consultant for the Presidential Address. Can we have you, Vikke Damodran, sir?
Thank you, and I'm online.
Yeah.
Welcome all colleagues and friends from, I think, not only from Kerala, from outside even. Many of you are actually very eagerly looking for the learned discussions that will go into this finale of the 2-year online program of webinars. This has been a great journey. I shouldn't actually forget the starting of this program in this format by Engineer Harindralal, who as the chair of Intersociety activities within IEEE, which was all along collaborating with almost half a dozen professional societies situated around Trivandrum. Of course, for the whole of Kerala, like Institution of Engineers, System Society, and number of computer society, many other things, and Vakkom Moulavi Foundation and others, a number of other sub-operating units of IEEE joined. So, but in the beginning, it was actually a problem when the physical meetings were actually prevented by the need to distance due to the COVID pandemic. So how to have these meetings, which was always a nurturing, refreshing, and learning ground for professionals working in Trivandrum. On the first hand, to meet personally, smile, share a cup of coffee, then listen to a learned lecture and have some discussions. And this used to be something wonderful. I would even say that this kind of meetings, though the discussions in many sessions were rather limited, I would compare this to what happened more than 2 centuries back in the then England, now we call it UK, where there was what is called as a lunar society. You will think, what is this lunar society? This lunar society was a meeting of very learned people. Those days, scientists were also called philosophers. And they were meeting once in a month at a common place. And a lot of preparations had to be there, depending upon the technology around and the kind of communication and lighting services that were available. So practically there was no electricity at that time. So if people should meet in the evening after their work in the laboratories or in the academic bodies, so they chose a particular day, that is when there is full moon. Every month you have a full moon day. So they decided to meet on that day. And these people, they used to come on horseback. And when they go back, moonlight will be there to guide them back to their homes, and which were actually several dozens of miles apart. And in these meetings, the physicists, chemists, engineers, and so many others used to meet. And they used to actually sip a little bit of wine or some other hot liquor. That is the evening in the Western culture. And during the time which they spend there, they used to actually discuss the kind of problems they had in solving some problem or in getting to a result of their experiment, what all kind of frustrations they had, what all kinds of obstacles they had, and finally, luckily or otherwise, how they could actually arrive at the right point and come out with a successful outcome. This was actually a great thing because even though the subject were different, the approaches and the kind of brainwaves that actually led to wonderful discussions and solutions to problems, that used to be a pointer to the other gentleman who will suddenly think of some ways in which he can actually think. So this meeting, greeting, and sometimes eating together, as well as chatting, it gave a lot of impetus to research and also the problem, what you call the doubt clearing, because scientists also those days, the number were much less and there were no communication links. So it was a very great thing. And this monthly meeting actually was a very turning point in having even professional societies subsequently. So from these points of view, I would say that this turning point when this COVID actually almost blocked our way of having a kind of meeting ground and discussing forum. This was Harindra Lal was actually asking how we can actually go about doing this. Of course, he inquired with many of the professional society leaders, including those in the IEEE also, and being a professional, co-professional for a number of years, he asked for my views as well. And that was the time we thought of generally, why not go online and have some discussion. There were a lot of problems, yet all those things were solved with the first 2 or 3 meetings. And this now has become a wonderful, wonderful mechanism where we can, now people actually look forward. In fact, the 1 or 2 or 3 merits that I can point out is that we could actually get experts from, even though we are not physically meeting and seeing, we could actually get the thoughts, very valuable thoughts of experts in various subjects who are actually spread out all over the world. I think from the Americas, from the Europe, the whole of Asia, and I think almost several countries with which we interact normally. We could actually get people to speak and we could actually discuss, ask questions to them and all that. So this became a very lively thing. This is one of the things. Second thing was when you had only a Trivandrum based meeting, the subject coverage would actually be limited by the number of experts who are there and their expertise. So you can only have it in their own expertise, not in something outside. Here, we are able to get people from other expertise. So if you really want our members and listeners to know about a current important topic for which there is no local speaker available, we are able to get such a person, and so that we can actually plan to, or rather implant certain subjects which we should necessarily listen to during the whole year. Number of such areas were covered. Third thing has been that many people who earlier refused to give, or rather were hesitant to give talks, they came forward and delivered wonderful lectures. I would say that in short, the depth and extent was somewhere at the moderate level, occasionally going a little bit above, and occasionally disappointing, partly. I wouldn't say that it's totally disappointing. So, but this happens. And from that point of view, I would say that this has been a very good experiment, very good exercise, and a novel approach for us to get over obstructions or kind of restrictions that are actually forced on us. This is one way of problem solving, and innovating. So that way, this should be marked from that point of view first. Second, the 2 or 3 points which I mentioned, I think that were probably Harindra Lal and team actually wanted those things to be an embedded property of the whole series. And I think that has been very well discharged over these 88 plus sessions. Now, I won't take much of your time. That's the initial thing. Occasionally, in between, if there is any...
Sir, you have exceeded your time. Please.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I am closing. And I would also request all other people to be within the time that Harindra Lal has allotted. And let us try to gather all the good and bad of this program and try to evolve something bigger than this for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikke Damodran, sir. It was indeed a pleasure listening to you. So next, I would like to welcome Ms. Nandini. She's a student volunteer to present the statistical overview of the Intersociety weekly webinar series.
Good evening. And this is statistics for the event, and the total number of webinars conducted were 88 with a total number of registrations of 4,500, and the average number of participants per week were 90, and the average number of participants per month were 379 with a 40 active student volunteers, and total number of participants were 1,411. And coming to the international interactions, there were a total number of participants of over 1,500 from above 21 countries, which include Canada, England, Germany, Ghana, Indonesia, and many more. And these are some of the posters of the sessions here we have conducted about topics like engineering education, global warming, innovative design thinking for non-designers, and so on. These are some of the snaps from our previous sessions. And no event is complete without a constant guidance and support. These are the constant supports we received to make this initiative successful. And no initiative is complete without active volunteers. And I thank each one of you for your support and hard work and for being the backbone for all the events that took place till date. And these are the things which us as volunteers gain from these events, which include a chance to utilize the COVID-19 lockdown time and to learn from the experts, to ask questions on the subject, to gain in-depth knowledge and experience the joy of volunteering, and also to learn organizational documentation and communication skills. And also, we also had the opportunity to watch these videos again, which increased our knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Nandini. Thank you for the overview there. So next, I would like to we would like to go for a series of appraisals from our speakers, organizers, volunteers, etc. So firstly, I would like to welcome Dr. Sajitha Bashi. She's a pioneer in global education, digital innovation, science and technology, former World Bank manager now. So I would like to request her to speak a few words. Can we have you, ma'am?
Yes. Good evening.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Harindra Lal sir, Professor Damodran, dear members of the audience, it really gives me immense pleasure to provide some reflections on this remarkable series of weekly talks. I've really admired the regularity and high quality of the series since its inception. But I was also intrigued by the series, I must confess. I was one of the early speakers, in fact, the 7th one on May 27th, 2020. And before agreeing, I had asked Harindra Lal some piercing questions as a speaker, normal questions. What is the series about? On what topic should I speak? For what purpose? For what audience? And his answers were, well, you can choose a topic. The audience is, a rather broad audience. The purpose is very broad, just to share knowledge on different topics from different experts. Most of the audience would be professionals of different types, largely based in Kerala, but also from outside. It was all rather unusual. So the topic I chose was the 5 faces of inequality of COVID-19. As you remember, that was when the pandemic was just hitting and we knew very little about it. It was, of course, accepted. As it turned out, there was a large audience, perhaps due to the topic. The questions were many and to the point, reflecting a high level of audience engagement. And I felt that the time spent on preparing for the talk, which I did have to do because the topic was rather new and data and information was kind of rare, I felt the time was worth it. And overall, the session left such a good impression on me that when Harinder Lal sir asked me to suggest more speakers, I had no hesitation in doing so. So to organize a series of rich talks for such a long time requires persistence, planning, attention to detail, and above all, I think, a deep commitment to pursuing knowledge sharing. The topics were eclectic, from the exploration of Mars to the insights for the SME business owners, from understanding the brain to climate change and environmental sustainability, from hello Englishes to the promise of quantum computing, just to name a few. And I can see that the entire network was leveraged to identify speakers. The meeting started on time, right on the dot. The initial introductions were brief and the speakers got adequate time. I think that's very important for the speakers. The Q&A was well managed. The technology actually worked and the talks were up on YouTube within a week. It was a great tour de force. So congratulations. With a program which is so broad, it is difficult to assess the impact. I personally believe that a broad intellectual engagement on many topics reflects well on a society. And it's heartening to see this taking place in Kerala. But such meetings may also produce impacts in unexpected quarters. And I would like to conclude with one such unusual example. Professor Elias Tovey of Carnegie Mellon University spoke on quantum computing in January of 2021. I had suggested him as a speaker based on my earlier discussions with him about the role of technology for developing countries, including Africa. Based on this, we identified questions he could address in his talk to a more generalist audience, but with a smattering of engineers and other professionals, scientists, and so on. And I think he delivered a good talk. 6 months after his talk in July, he wrote to me, and I quote verbatim with his permission, quote, "This summer is turning out to be rather interesting, largely due to your questions about quantum computing last year. I decided to convince one of my colleagues I had been working with to join me in co-teaching a new introductory course on quantum computing in the fall of 2021. We have managed to get a couple of companies that have built experimental quantum computers to allow us to use them for teaching. The systems are online, so our students will get an opportunity to program real quantum computers. See attached poster advertising our course." End quote. Yesterday, I did contact him and he told me that the students had completed this new course. So the unexpected impact was on the speaker himself. As he addressed the questions we discussed about the implications for society, about the level of the technology and so on, he felt the need to act by designing a new course. Now, who would have expected that? So congratulations again, and thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. So that was indeed a very on-point review. That was very specific. Thank you so much, ma'am. So next, I would like to call upon Dr. N.N. Panikar, Fellow of IEI, founder, Sahajivan Swaraj Initiatives. I request him to kindly share his insights. We welcome you, sir. Sir, you're on mute. Can you unmute yourself?
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Now you're audible. Yeah.
Good evening. Thank you, Professor Vikke Damodran, Engineer Harinder Lal, and all our friends who are here to share our experiences. I'm here to share the experience during the last 88 webinars and also offer some suggestions for the future. Actually, the Wednesday seminars started in 1990. That means almost 30 years ago at the Institution of Engineers. And it is continuing. It's probably a world record. In fact, it is recognized as a great achievement. What we have done is to have every Wednesday a meeting at Institution of Engineers. And then I offered to give a talk the last Wednesday of every month on creativity, different aspects of creativity, the creativity model, conditions for higher creativity, assessment of creativity, creativity in management, creativity in various other things. So 150 lectures were given. That's all for 12 years, the last Wednesday of every month. But we had this every Wednesday meeting continuing, all kinds of interesting talks. And then IEEE, Computer Society of India, and almost all the engineering societies of Trivandrum joined. In fact, all of Kerala also. It was a great experience. Now, this particular one started when the COVID made it necessary for another way of doing it. The lockdowns prevented us from offline get-togethers. So the online leadership was taken by Engineer Harindra Lal. That was an amazing contribution to the profession. Very, very interesting talks were given here. And the experience was really extremely beneficial to all of us. Personally, I learned a lot. I had a lot of interesting questions answered. And so I gave a talk also. My talk was actually on synergistic self-management. It is a new idea, original presentation of a new idea with results of thought and field experiments. So it was quite an interesting experience for me in that particular aspect. And I learned more out of this experience. And I personally would like to have more of such talks that Professor Vikke Damodran has given, that was of an international standard. We have kept global standards, and our talks have become very, very rich and very informative, and quite a lot of things could be learned out of that. So let us continue this one. And the natural process is really to think of a time when we can get together in the office. Say Institute of Engineers is they are very impatient to have the meetings there. But the problem is that we have done so well with this mode of webinars that we are never going to go back. In my personal opinion, the future is here. So let us really improve this mode. And in fact, we may want to have opportunity to get together also. That means an offline and an online choices at the same time. That means a little more technological developments and trial and error. But that's the way to do it. It's really the Wednesday series, after so many years, it is really a great thing for us. And let us continue with this online operations, as well as maybe provision for offline whenever the restrictions are removed and we are having the freedom to associate freely out after the COVID coercions and compulsions and things like that. So the suggestion is that that we continue this one. And what we can do is to improve on certain aspects, but we have done already well, because the kinds of speakers we could get are really so good international standards. We can never do that in an offline mode. So let us continue this one. And I appreciate Engineer Harindra Lal for taking this leadership, and also the other associates who have been helping him and making it possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It was indeed nice to hear from you, sir. So next, it's our honor and privilege to welcome Professor Shahinaz, professor at the Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology. She's a candidate for IEEE Chair elect to 2022. She's also the chair of IEEE SPS Women Signal Processing Committee and IEEE Women in Engineering History Committee. I request her to kindly speak a few words, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Fida, for humble introduction. And thank you, Professor Damodran and Engineer Harindra Lal, who are the chief architect behind this amazing initiative, for inviting me for share some feedback about this great initiative. Actually, I was invited as one of the speakers, and my topic was deep learning applications for biomedical signals or biomedical applications. And fortunately, at the time, I was doing the deep learning research related to COVID. So I was collecting data for X-ray image, ultrasound image, and CT images, and I was developing new architecture for automatically detecting COVID to help the doctors in the community, so that people do not need to move from their community to the central clinics, and they can really send the data over line, and all processing can be done in the server using deep learning techniques, and from any part of the nation, a doctor can access the data and can give the decision to the patients very quickly. So that was a perfect moment to really have a collaboration and to address the issues. And it's a great honor that I was given that opportunity to share my research and the motivation of doing research, and inviting all to create a huge database of COVID data. And I'm happy that I could do it. And then I was following all other topics, especially what I found about this initiative is that so interdisciplinary in nature. Our departments are divided in EEE, EC, CSE, ET, in different. But you know what, I think that our brain cannot be divided. We are free to do any interdisciplinary work that can create impact on the community. I found the topics and the speakers and the audience is completely interdisciplinary, as we got the statistics from in terms of country, in terms of volunteers. So actually, I believe in sharing the good practices. So I will be sure that such a timely and impactful initiative can be shared with all sections in Region 10 and beyond Region 10, so that such silent heroes like Harindra Lal sir, Damodran sir, and many other volunteers can be made visible to the rest of the world, and other sections can get an encouragement to really identify such talented speakers from home and abroad to share knowledge and ensure timely dissemination of knowledge during the pandemic, because everything was stopped, our classes were online, but this knowledge actually drove us towards more knowledge transfer. So I think that will be a very good practice. I can talk, I can sit with these key organizers, how we can replicate this initiative to the rest of the world. Since now I have been elected as 2022 IEEE Women in Engineering Committee Chair-elect, so it will be my responsibility to really showcase this initiative to all members of IEEE and non-IEEE around the world. Another important thing, although I'm a IEEE volunteer, but I liked that many of the speakers were from a larger community beyond IEEE. So that actually has created more outreach, and that actually has proven the inclusive nature of this initiative, which is very, very important, because for women in engineering, it's not only for women, although in the whole webinar series, we found many women speakers. Actually, we believe in diversity and inclusion. To ensure diversity and inclusion in every sphere of life, starting from our volunteerism, starting from our technical talk series, as our entrepreneurship, everywhere, this approach of diversity and inclusion is very much appreciated. So I wish all the best for the organizers. Hope many other, it will not be stopped, it will be just a beginning, but more volunteer leaders will come forward to replicate it in the larger scale. Thank you, Fida, for giving me the opportunity. I like to tell that I'm proud of this initiative, and I'm feeling that I'm an integral part of this initiative. Thank you for adding value to my life by introducing so many webinars and speakers. I'm proud of all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Celia, ma'am. You're indeed an integral part of the series. Thank you so much, ma'am. So now we had our reviews and kind words from all our speakers there, on behalf of all our speakers there. So now we can move on to hear from the sponsoring organizations of the Intersociety Weekly Webinar Series, without whom this event would have never been possible. So firstly, I would like to welcome Ashok Kumar, sir, from the Institution of Engineers India, to honor us with his words. Can we have you, sir?
Yeah, of course. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. Good evening and good morning to all. As already mentioned by Professor Vikke Damodran and Dr. Nan Panikar, the Institution of Engineers Kerala State Center was conducting this weekly webinar, this Wednesday technical talks, every Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. Almost without fail for the last more than three decades. And I know finally the COVID came, unfortunately, and by mid-March we went to lockdown, and then the first week of April, if I remember correctly, a few of us sat together, including Dr. Vikke Damodran, Engineer Harindra Lal, and then Chairman of State Center, Engineer K.K. Gopalakrishnan Nair, and few of us, and discussed on what way we can proceed. And Mr. Harindra Lal, Professor Vikke suggested that we go online, because that's the only way we can continue with our activities. And IEEE took the lead, and that's how this weekly webinar series was born. And it has been going on flawlessly, I should say, for the last 88 weeks. And it's a marvelous achievement for the technical team behind the scene, the planners, including Engineer Harindra Lal, and the student volunteers behind the scene, as well as conducting the sessions on the screen. So on behalf of IEEE, let me put on record our appreciation and thanks to the entire team who have made it happen and made the program go on flawlessly, as well as with great content. Now, as we all say, this is the opportunity which has been arisen in the COVID era, which we have well tapped and well utilized. But then starting a program, as we all know, starting a program is easier compared to continuing it in the same momentum. So, but it has happened for this last 88 weeks, so with such a good content and quality. So I hope this can continue further for some more time. To what length we have to see. But then we have discussed in IEEE, in our fraternity inside IEEE Kerala State Center, how to go about further. So what we felt was that the physical mode of talks can come back from 2nd February if things permit us for the physical meeting. So we can start having our Wednesday talks in the Kerala State Center Hall onwards from 2nd February. And because of the outreach offered by this particular platform of online mode of presentation, we can parallelly continue to have this weekly webinar series on probably on some other day, if possible on a weekly basis itself, or maybe whatever frequency we will decide further. I understand Engineer Harendra is relinquishing his duties as chair of Intersociety coordination team, and another expert may take over. So whoever it be, our suggestion is we can continue with this online mode of talk. So that's what I have to say. But on top of everything, this series so far of the 88 weeks have been a marvelous experience to each one of us, and we hope that we can continue with the momentum. So I thank each of the volunteers and the technical team, and including Engineer Harendra Lal and the brains behind that, like people like Professor Vikke Damodran and other people. Heartfelt thanks from the point of view of IEEE Kerala State Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashok Kumar sir. That's indeed nice from you. So next, it is my honor and privilege to welcome Ms. Sharda Jayakrishnan, the chair of IEEE Kerala section, to share her words. Thank you so much. And please join us.
Thank you, Fida. Thank you, Harendra Lal sir, for this opportunity to be part of this. We can't say it's a concluding session. It is again a beginning of a different mode of session. So thank you for that, Professor Vikke Damodran sir, NT Nair sir, Celia, many other dignitaries on the platform here. Very good morning, good evening, and good afternoon from wherever you are. 88 talks is not a small thing. The consistency with which it had been going and the kind of reach it had been getting is actually very, very phenomenal. I have seen that. I was just remembering while I was listening to everyone, I was remembering how in early 2020, when I took over as chair of IEEE Kerala section, I had reached out to Harendra Lal sir, who has always has been one of the backbone of the section, continuously in active mode. I reached out to him and checked if he could lead the Intersociety activities committee of our section. So we all knew that the Wednesday talks were happening. There was kind of a, there was kind of a detached mode of activation where if a speaker is required, probably IEEE will then provide a speaker, that kind of mode. When Sir came in, he took charge and decided that, yes, we will continue this for every week. And that's how it happened. So when the pandemic hit and we wanted to have the online platform, section went ahead with the Zoom, which was taken that time because we were all using WebEx till then, section activated WebEx. We took over a Zoom, and I still remember how in the initial days, there were some starting troubles with our ECC supporting remotely, Alan supporting remotely to see that the sessions were on every Wednesday, going on continuously. And later on, a good number of volunteers came in from IEEE and other organizations, student volunteers, who decided to take over the administrative part, and also the conduction of the session. 2-3 things that stand out in such webinar series is one, SIR's meticulous planning, because for Kerala section, every 2 months, there is an executive committee meeting where generally all the leaders present the various activities that are being done to engage our volunteers and also members. So in SIR's case, every other month, there should be a 3-month long list. It is not that you prepare for 1 month or probably week or monthly. It was always a 3-month list, which was full. Every Wednesday, what is the subject, what is the speaker? So it was kind of very, very, very diligently planned. The other thing is, there was regular updates by notices, by messaging. He had, in fact, taken a messaging platform to see that everybody gets the message. The sharpness, one of the speakers mentioned earlier, the sharpness with which it used to start at 6 p.m. and then continue, and the variety of topics. I've not been able to join in many of the cases because of my official commitments, but then some of which I still remember is I did find one talk on English and how it is to be for the societal and what is the changes that are happening, on psychology, student psychology, children's psychology, on physiology, and there was also on diseases like diabetic retinopathy. There was one on physiotherapy. There was also some discussions related to state relevant topics, like what do you do for increasing the employmentability of our engineers or others. So the wide variety of topics, which was which was very engaging. And I'm so glad that we have an average of 90 members. See, as the pandemic progressed, there was such a lot of Zoom and online meetings that it's really readily predictable that always a kind of 100 participants were available. That's really creditable. So congratulations to Harindralal sir and the whole team who had worked behind all the advisories. Congratulations to IEI, CSI, PMI, ISOC. VMFT came in later. I know how Suhair sir had got involved and how active he had been later on. LMAG came in, IEEE's own sister, affinity group. EMBS, our engineering in medicine and biology group came in, and IETA. So congratulations to everyone for seeing that the webinar mode started, it is continuing, it is engaging, and the kind of collaboration that is happening is really commendable. Now, I was listening to Ashok, Mr. Ashok Kumar. So I have a proposition. We can always go for a hybrid mode. In fact, the Trivandrum office of IEEE Kerala session has been completely revamped, where there is facility, high-speed internet connectivity, and audio visual facilities for going in a hybrid mode as required. So that is one option which can be looked into to see that the series doesn't break. Now, once again, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak here, and wish you all a very safe, healthy and happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharda ma'am. That was again really nice from you and a good suggestion from you to use our venue as well. So next, I would like to welcome Ms. Akhila Gaurishankar ma'am from Project Management Institute to share a few words, and she is a very familiar person to all of us because she was one person who has been moderating along with us. So yeah, I would like to welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Fida. I feel really honored to represent PMI Kerala chapter, that's Project Management Institute Kerala chapter today. We from PMI Kerala chapter is very happy for the uninterrupted online sessions every Wednesday as part of this IWWS. This is a great collaboration effort amongst our 9 organizations. The special efforts under the leadership of Sri Harindralal sir and the dedicated team for from each of the participating 9 organizations is indeed very appreciable. Not to say about the varied topics we got to listen to, and The speakers were also not limited to Kerala. Yes, we had international speakers as well as international participants. The vast reach of these 88 online sessions is indeed a blessing in disguise of the COVID pandemic. Else, we would have had only the weekly Wednesday talks limited to Trivandrum at the Institute of Engineers Hall at Vellambalam. Yes, the board of PMI Kerala chapter extends our hearty thanks to all the members of the participating 9 organizations. And I personally thank Harindralal sir for the great opportunities provided to me and to take up various roles as Fida had mentioned. Thank you, Fida, also for that. And from PMI Kerala chapter, we also agree with Sharda ma'am, my previous speaker, that it would be great if we can have the hybrid mode, because yes, we want really to meet everyone is true, but at the same time, we don't want to lose this opportunity that we got getting in the international participations and international speakers as well. Yes. So we believe the hybrid mode would indeed be a great opportunity to utilize on the upgrades that has happened to our Institute of Engineers Hall. Thank you so much for all the participating organizations and also to the participants for making this a grand success. And we from PMI Kerala chapter joins every of the other organizations to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and wish you all a safe stay. Thank you.
Thank you, Akila ma'am. That was indeed nice from you again. So next, I would like to welcome Suhail sir, Chairman of IEEE Power and Energy Society, Kerala chapter, and also the Chairman and Managing Trustee of Vakkom Moulavi Foundation Trust, to share his valuable insights. Can we have you, sir?
Thank you, Fida. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Good day to all. It's hard to believe that the Intersociety weekly webinar started nearly 2 years ago, and we are now at its 89th meeting, now called the finale, to take stock of how we fared and how the participants relished the program. The webinar series was unique by the diversity of topics as mentioned here, galaxy of speakers, borderless participation, and harmonious mix of subjects. It was truly an elixir in the pandemic time. Engineer Harindralal deserves a thumping applause for the grit and determination he showed in running the program, uninterrupted amidst several adversities. He groomed a bandwagon of young volunteers to run the show, plan, publicize, execute, and broadcast the event. It was a true display of commitment and professionalism. Congratulations to the team. It also demonstrated how to bring together several leading professional organizations, IEEE, IEEE, CSI, PMI, Intersociety, EMBS, LMAG, VMFT, IET under one roof and leverage the synergy. You might wonder, how VMFT came under this group. VMFT was established in 1986 by a senior ILO official, Vikke Bashir, as a memorial to the great social reformer Vakkom Moulavi. From the inception, VMFT was holding hands with the IEEE, Computer Society of India, and other professional societies to conduct meetings and trainings of social relevance. Many thought forums such as the Power System Group, Energy Conservation Societies were shaped and evolved at its meetings. We now live in the information age. We are facing the greatest threat of technological obsolescence. Until 1900, human knowledge doubled approximately every century. Experts now say that from 2020, human knowledge will double every 12 hours. We need to leapfrog and embrace emerging technologies. So let us stay together and move forward. Arthur C. Clarke once said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. We are now at the brink of that magical transformation. A Happy New Year and Christmas to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So next, it is my honor and privilege to welcome Professor Qasim sir, the Vice Chair of IEEE Kerala section, to share his words. Can we have you, sir?
Yes, Fida. Thank you, Fida.
Qasim sir, you're there?
Yeah, thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you,
yes,
Fida,
sir.
and thank you, Professor Vikke Damodran, sir. Thank you, Harindra sir, and thank you, Sharda, and all leaders. And so the 89th webinar series, the grand finale, and kudos to the only one, that is Harindra sir. He made it a grand success. And when we speak something about IEEE, goes back to 1884, the formation of American Institute of Electrical Engineers. Then we tell about the formation of Institute of Radio Engineers in 1912. Then the formation of IEEE in 1963, 1st January. Now, when we think of Kerala section, we are going back to 1975, forming as a subsection under India section, then moved to Bangalore under the Bangalore section, when India section moved to India Council in 1976, forming a full-fledged section in 1983. And so the founder secretary is with us. There is our A.K. Suhair sir, then founder treasurer of Kerala section 83-84, Suhair sir was the treasurer. Then our veteran leader, Harindra sir, he served as the secretary of IEEE Kerala section in 1988, 89, and 1991. 3 years as the secretary of Kerala section, and he served as the chair of Kerala section in 1992. And our VKD sir is also here, also the former chair of Kerala section. Now, after this occupying the chair of Kerala section in 1992, our Harindra sir and Suhair sir left to UAE, and there also they continued their IEEE volunteering in different positions in Dubai section and Abu Dhabi subsection. Then came back, Harindra sir came back as the vice chair of PES Kerala chapter in 2014-15. Then he became the chair of PES Kerala chapter in 2016 and 17 and bagged the outstanding chapter award for the PES chapter, that is globally the outstanding for the Kerala chapter in 2004-2017 activities. Then he became the chair of Life Member Affinity Group, and there also he did fantastically well and bagged too many awards, laurels. And now the chair of Intersociety activities for 2020 and 2021, keeping the vibrancy of, to be frank, the youth that I can say in his all activities. So completed is the 89th webinar series, and kudos to Harindra sir for making it a grand success. As Sharda ma'am was telling, there was some initial problems at the initial stages, but that was all well covered after a period of time. So that is the man behind all this series. And as said, too many mails, too many reminder mails and messages sending to all members and relevant groups. So it was a fantastic one. And coming back to the Kerala position as on today now, just before maybe 5 or 10 minutes, we are with 11,981 members. And in that, more than 2,000 professional members and nearly 10,000 student members, and hope to reach the magic figure of 12,000 by tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So thank you all the volunteers for making it such a big for the Kerala section. Thank you all. And I wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Qasim sir. Indeed, we all hope to reach that magic figure by tomorrow or the after tomorrow as well. So next, I would like to welcome M. Jayalakshmi ma'am to speak a few words. Can we have you, ma'am? Yeah.
I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Am I audible?
You're audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. Yeah.
Okay. Greetings to all the distinguished members of this panel and the audience. I think whatever I thought I will talk has already been covered by all the earlier speakers, but still I will share a few points. One is the acceptance of this digital connectivity by almost all age groups members in a very fast pace. Generally, the audience attending the Wednesday talk series in Institution of Engineers Hall used to be mainly senior citizens. But when
Ma'am, you are on mute.
Pardon?
Ma'am, yeah, now it's fine. You were on mute before.
Okay. Now, okay, when it is moved to this IWWS platform, I am seeing all the participants in the Institution of Engineers Hall here too. The second thing is when the webinar started, there were some hesitations to join this Zoom platform, fear of the unknown. Concerns were regarding the security issue in using a foreign hosted platform for our discussions. But a few talks on the initial time itself allayed these fears. And other thing which I wanted to point out is the social activities of this IEEE discussed on a panel discussion, and many of the speeches by the early speakers from abroad. Thus, the local webinars turned into an international one. Developments of science and technology must be practical and usable to all. Looking into social side of the activities as important as the technical side. The subjects presented in the webinars were very diverse in nature. The topics covered so far in this online platform include technical, health, biomedical, instrumentation related, scientific, space related, educational, management related. They were very informative, engaging, and scholarly presentation with social practical applications in our current activities and also adaptable for the future development projects too. Digital world activities, AI-enabled system, energy efficient system, dental care, diabetic retinopathy, language learning, phonetics are to quote a few. The virtual presentations, visual presentations and the videos were very relevant, appealing, engaging, and highly informative and educative. Speakers were all executives, chief executive, practitioners, professors, and those engaged in research and other academic activities in their respective field. Planning and operations of the webinars were very flawless. My heartfelt appreciation to the leaders, Sri Harindra Lal, IEEE, and Sri Suhair VMFT, who took the initiative, and also to their supporting professional bodies who coordinated the events from behind the scene. I wish the webinar to continue in the coming weeks too until a better system takes over. To sum up, inter-society webinars were all engaging to overcome the monotony of social distancing and the isolation forced on us. I like to be a participant in future too if it is continued. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, thank you, ma'am. That was really nice from you. So next, I would like to welcome N. Venkateshan sir to share his words.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible. Yeah.
Mr. President and members of the society and participants, it's an honor to be here to share my experiences on an event that has brought a series of talks that have been going on for nearly 2 years now. It has been an outstanding effort by the Intersociety team, the organizers, and the volunteers. I regret that I had to miss the first few weeks of this seminar, and unfamiliarity with the Zoom platform and a numbing impact of the pandemic perhaps caused that. But then Harindralal was kind enough to call me and invite me, inquire what is happening and why I am not attending, because I'm usually attend such seminars. And then, since then, I have been a regular attendee in these seminars, and I have gained a great deal from them. I was reminded in those talks by of the weekly technical sessions that we members of the engineering team of Idiki in the powerhouse, we had organized in early 80s. There was a weekly sessions, technical sessions that were held every week. On Thursdays, I think, may not be one of the days. And again, it was a meticulous process of preparation. And so I could understand how much of effort goes into organizing all these. We were able to sustain it for over a year. And here it has been going on for more than 2 years and still going quite strong, except that Mr. Harindral wants to retire from this effort. But I'm sure that there will be some others who will carry on this great effort. An amazing range of topics as represented also by the members of the member societies. The member societies itself is a wide group. We covering as subjects like engineering to medicine to social issues, economy, and the national development. All of these have been covered, quite a wide range of subjects. In fact, attending this inter-society seminars, it inspired me to attend many more webinars that are happening all over the globe. That was a good benefit or effect of these inter-society seminars. And all the speakers at these seminars were experts in their own fields. Thanks to the online platform, they could participate from anywhere in the world. Individual topics were so wide-ranging, subjects from electrical power, communication, medical imaging, sustainable energy, pediatric, dentistry, languages, English language, psychology, self-development, space exploration, mathematics, you name it, we had it. This is interdisciplinary taken to the extreme, I would say. It was personally a matter of nostalgia and pride to find Professor Vikke Damodran also participating in many of these sessions. He has been my own professor in NIT long ago in the late 60s. And I find him here and he is presiding over today's event too. I cannot thank enough the inter-society participants, the organizers, and the volunteers for the magnificent program put together for such a long time and sustained for such a long time. We have all grown with the philosophy to keep learning till our end. To that purpose, this series has provided a learning platform for every one of us who has been fortunate to attend these sessions. Congratulations to the team and thank you so much for making it possible. Wish you a Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. Thank you all.
Thank you, Venkateshan, sir. Next, it is our privilege and honor to welcome Aileen Thatcher, ma'am, who has been of constant support from the beginning on for the Inter-Society Weekly Webinar Series. I request her to kindly share her words.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're there. Yeah, audible.
Okay. Well, I had some nice organized comments, but I think everybody has covered pretty much everything on my list. And I would just like to thank everybody for their professionalism, and the range was just so stimulating. And I think the fact that we were all blessed by the participation and a very positive note to look forward to every week, instead of the depression of all of our personal problems and other things that, you know, could kind of overwhelm us. And I was hearing from many others. So for that, I really am happy to have been a part of it and look forward to its continuing. And I think that this is an innovative way that we can even start developing roundtable discussions with people from completely different fields to work toward unique solutions to complex problems, such as the giant ones we keep wrestling with of climate change and the public health and healthcare sectors that I know most about, along with education, but also how we interact into areas that we're very unfamiliar with, such as perhaps government or the economy of ideas as they develop and so on. So for that, I'm just an enthusiastic participant and just pronouns to everyone and a happy new year.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, so thank you, Eileen ma'am, that was nice. So next, we have a set of volunteers who would like to share their views to us regarding their journey and experience that they had throughout the Intersociety weekly webinar series. So firstly, I would like to call upon Hannah Answer to share her journey. Can we have you, Hannah? Hannah, are you there? Hannah Answer, are you there?
You can call the next person.
Okay, so next, I guess she is there.
Hello,
Yes.
good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Is my audio audible?
Yes, okay. Hannah, you're audible.
Okay, I have some network issues, that's right. Okay, anyway, I'm so proud to be a part of today's session for representing as one of the volunteers. And first of all, let me tell you that I'm so excited how this program went in such a sequential manner and everyone is sharp at 6 p.m. Like I have gone it for many events, but coming to series of talks, I think it will extend up to 3 months or something like that. But this IWWS is breaking it for the past 89 weeks. And for this, I congratulate the backbone of this Intersociety weekly webinar series, Harindra Lal sir, because his effort is enormous. Like, or if we haven't seen any of his message, or if we don't acknowledge his message, he'll suddenly call us and make sure about our presence. So I really congratulate him. And moving on to speakers, all are well educated at a high degree and had conducted an amazing interactive session also. I'm not talking about more about them because already everyone has talked about them and about the sponsors also. And coming to participant side, I think I have moderated for around 6 to 7 weekly webinar series. And I think everyone has very keen on the session and everyone is rapidly asking the questions and all in the chat box and all. So everyone is very interested on this and I'm so excited about their side too. And coming to individual aspect, I believe, I believe it boosted my self-confidence, a sense of pride and identity also. And what it enabled me to meet new people. I got many new connections in LinkedIn and all, and got an amazing opportunity to gain experience and skills, especially the communication skills. And I strongly believe that this will definitely help me in my future or career. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. That was nice, indeed nice from you. So next, I would like to welcome Amrita Aravind from IEEE to share her experience. Can we have you, Amrita? Hello, Amrita. I think you're having a net issue.
Hello, I'm audible.
Yes, you're audible now. Yeah, that's.
Am I audible?
Yeah, Amrita, you're audible. Yeah.
A very warm good evening to all present here. Myself, Amrita Aravind, a second year EEE student from TKM College of Engineering, Kollam. It was indeed a great experience working with everyone here. First of all, I thank Harindra sir for giving me this wonderful opportunity. We were able to learn and hear from prestigious speakers all over the globe, interact with them, and clear all our queries on the topics. We were able to work in different roles each Wednesday, and it really helped in boosting our soft skills. Karim talks all Wednesdays helped us gain knowledge on diverse topics. I'm really grateful that I could work with a group of active volunteers and do various roles representing IEEE. Once again, thank you so much for the chance. It was really a great experience for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Amrita. Next, I would like to welcome Rishi Manoj to share the highlights of his journey with the webinar series. Rishi,
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah. Hi, Rishi, you're audible. Yeah.
Okay, so IWWS was a wonderful experience for me. I was one of the design volunteers. So even just looking at the topics and checking out what the topic was about and who was the speaker, his experience, and these all things made very much exposure into newer fields that I was not familiar with. So IWWS was indeed a wonderful experience for me. It made me learn many things and gain more contacts. So it was a wonderful experience. Okay, that's all from my side. I extend a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of here, all of people who are present here. Thank you.
Thank you, Rishi. Next, I would like to call upon Adlati Bashir from IEEE to share her experiences and her feedback on the Intersociety weekly webinar series.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Adila, you're audible.
Okay. Good evening to one and all present here. I, Adlati Bashir from IEEE student branch of TKM College of Engineering. It's my pleasure to say something in front of you in this great opportunity. Today we are in the grand finale of Intersociety weekly webinar series. Actually, I joined with this team for volunteering just for improving my communication skills. But really, I got something more than my expectations. Actually, I could meet many different personalities from different parts of the world. Moreover, this was a good opportunity to gain a lot of knowledge. And I could improve my confidence level also. In addition to that, I got some more friends through this volunteering. Totally, this was a wonderful experience. So, first of all, I would like to thank Harindra sir, who is the backbone of all these webinar series. Then I thank to the whole Intersociety team for giving a good opportunity to me like this. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Adila. Next, I would like to welcome Amina Muhammad to share her journey of IEEE Intersociety weekly webinar series.
Good evening, everyone. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, good evening, good evening, Amina. You're audible, yeah.
Okay, so myself, Amina, and I'm from TKMIT, and I'm very much pleased to be represented as an EMBS volunteer in today's finale. And I don't think I have much to say. Likewise, everyone said this Intersociety weekly webinar series has indeed helped me to expand my network as well. It was great interacting with volunteers from different colleges, and also, yeah, the topics discussed each week here were indeed different with a fine set of illustrious speakers. And yes, Harindra Lal's effort in executing this program each week with utmost perfection every week is something to be commented about. I'm indeed happy to have volunteered here. Thank you to each and everyone whom I crossed path. So yeah, thank you everyone, and wishing everyone Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Amina. So as a volunteer, I would like to also put forward my note of gratitude to the Intersociety weekly webinar series, because that was a place, I mean, this is the place where I got to meet a whole new set of people of various age groups, and I got to earn a lot of exposure. So I would like to wholeheartedly thank each and everyone who has contributed to the Intersociety weekly webinar series, and especially to Harindra Lal sir. So next we have our backbone of the Intersociety weekly webinar series, who have put on his maximum consistency and all efforts to make each and every talk that we have perfect. I would like to request Harindra sir to do the vote of thanks. Harindra sir, can we have you?
Thank you, Fida. Thank you very much. Good evening to you all the dignitaries. Virtually, I am completing the second year of the Intersociety Weekly webinar series. I'm going to call it a day, but I will be completing some more talks. I have booked slots for up to the end of Jan, so that the next person who is going to take over can take it over seamlessly without any break. So then next week we have one talk by Professor Vikke Damodran. That will be the end of the this year's talk, and I have already booked seats for the 4 more talks in the January Wednesdays. I hope by that time somebody will be joining and take over, and they can continue seamlessly. So I am completing 40 years of IEEE membership and 30 years of volunteering. A very gratifying effort indeed from my own viewpoint. 12 years in Kerala section, 8 years in UAE section, and lastly, the last 10 years in again Kerala section in different roles. Organising Society, Life Member Affinity Group, and for the last 2 years, Intersociety Activities Committee. When the Institute of Engineers Kerala State Center has to stop the Wednesday talks on March 5th, 2020, owing to the pandemic, the activities they had been doing very successfully for the last 30 years without a break. As the chair of Intersociety Activities Committee of IEEE Kerala section, I made a proposal to run it in a different format as a webinar. It was readily supported by the office bearers of Institute of Engineers, K.K. Gopalashan Nair and Ashok Kumar. Later supported by CSI, PMI, and IEEE Engineering, Medicine and Biology Society Chapter. Special thanks to them. Later, Intersociety, Vakkom Foundation Trust, IEEE Life Member Affinity Group Kerala section, and Institute of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineers joined. The webinar started on 15th April 2020. The supports of VMFT, PMI, EMBS, and Institute of Engineers for success of the series are worth mentioning, particularly Professor Vikke Damodran, Sarada Jayakrishnan, Professor Kasim, Professor Lilikutti of IEEE, A. Suhair of VMFT, Dr. Krishnomar and Akhilash Gauri Shankar of PMI, Kordu P. Varghese of LMAC, Ashok Kumar, Dr. N. Panikar, and Radhakrishnan of Institute of Engineers India, Jayalakshmi of CSI, N. Venkatesh, my old-time friend from IEEE Madras section, Professor K.C. Ravindranathan of IETE, Professor Shyamala Shashidharan, and Evangeline from Singapore. Now there are 2 persons who not only presented papers and special speakers, they were my constant source of inspiration. And they took part in this week's program also, Dr. Sajitha Bashi and Professor Shahinaz. The program would not have been successful, but for support of 4,213 persons from 23 countries spread over all the continents is registered for the talks. Of these 4,213 persons, 1,411 persons attend the program. These are some of the persons who attend the program regularly: Gopakumar B, J. Murli Mohanlal, Jayalakshmi M, Suhair A, Dr. N. Panikar, Narayan Nair Ravindranath, Evangeline Edison from Singapore, Ashok Kumar M, N.T. Nair, Venkatesh N, K.R. Venugopal, Professor Hariharan. Some of them. My special thanks to these regular attendees. The following persons regularly registered for the talks: Balashran Nair, Rasalam, R.P. Nair, Dr. Janardhanan, Job C.A., Simi from Singapore, Ravindra M, Dr. Eileen Thatcher from USA, Adil Warshi from Hyderabad, Jayarajan Gopalan, Manish Raj. They also partook in the programs. Thanks for their commitment. Some more statistics which indicate the reach and success of the program. Cumulative total participants 7,949, mean 90.3, median 80.5, mode 75. I think so. Good statistics, good number, good spread for a 2-year program. But the real heroes of the program are my volunteers. They were doing the bulwark of the program. Every week, 4 letters have to go. The first intimation, then the reminder, then the link to the program, certificates and link to the recordings to those who have filed the feedback, then preparation of poster, certificates of participation, and memento of each talk, the PowerPoint showing the program, next week's talks, and the memento, then identify the speakers, follow with them, get the topic and abstract of the talk, profile and photo of each speaker. The whole works are done by a group of volunteers from IEEE Kerala section and EMBS IEEE numbering to 40. I don't know how to express my thanks to each of these 40 volunteers. My vocabulary is limited to express my thanks to them. Please accept my sincere thanks and gratitude to these students who did their work with dedication and passion in spite of their routine work as students, whether there is exam, project submission, and other personal commitments. They did it meticulously. When I started the program in the beginning of April 15, I knew I could not do the work alone. Then one name struck me, Professor Vijana Kunju from the HOD of the EEE department of TKM College of Engineering. I called her and she suggested the name of a person who studied in TKM College of Engineering and was on an assignment. I called her and she readily agreed. From that moment onwards, she is with me, though I have not met her, not even through a video call, but she was with me mostly through messages and maybe half a dozen telephone calls. She is the one who recruited these volunteers and made them work in the midst of her busy work schedule. You can imagine the support she provided through the 40 students. She is the real heroine, or shall I say, the queen of the show. The real credit goes to her. Miss Shida Harikumar, you are the star of the weekly webinar series, Shweta. Please accept this, what shall I say, as a token of my gratitude and appreciation to your sincere and hard work for a person whom you have not met. This is real dedicated volunteering. We are proud of you, Shweta. The world is yours. There will be lots of laurels and awards awaiting you in your career and life. I wish you all the best, Shweta. Had this been a real face-to-face meeting, I would have asked you to giving her a standing ovation. The star of IWWS, Ms. Shweta Harikumar, let your tribe flourish. Thanks to Vijana for identifying such a great personality to help me. Let me take this opportunity to present a memento as a token of my gratitude to Shweta. Shweta, please accept this as a token of my gratitude towards you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for these kind words. Like, I'm really honored to hear such kind words from you. Thank you. It was great working with you for this past 2 years. And I'm really thankful to my Professor Vijana ma'am for introducing me to you. Yeah, and I'm really thankful to all of our volunteers who have been with us continuously for all this time. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. This means a lot. Thank you.
Thanks to Professor Vijana for identifying such a great personality to help me. Finally, thanks to all the participants and all those who spared their valuable time to give their appraisals to the program, the volunteers who performed their duty immaculately, and all the participants. Let me take this opportunity to wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Anyway, we will be meeting for the next week, the next talk. Life Beyond 2022. Adapting technologies for living with uncertainties. This program started with the talk by Professor Vikke Damodran, and the 2021, I'm ending the program with Professor Vikke Damodran once again, giving a talk on Life Beyond 2022, Adapting Technologies for Living with Uncertainties, on next week, Wednesday, 20th December 2021. Thank you very much. I'm happy that I could keep up the time. Only we are 35 seconds ahead of the schedule. Thank you very much once again. See you next week. Same time. Have a great day for you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Harindralal, sir, for your kind words. We've had a great time
to all.
being with you.
Thank you, Harindralal, for this.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Wonderful experience.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
It's
Thank
all
you very much.
applaud to Harindralal sir.
Yes. So with this,
Let us all.
Thank you, Harendra sir.
yes.
Hearty congrats to the team. Entire
So there's a
team.
lot of congratulations
Led
coming
by
for you,
Harindralal
Harindralal.
sir.
Yes.
All of you,
Yeah.
all of you.
There are
Great
some.
session.
There are some persons. There were some dearth of volunteers some last minute. I can readily call that person and ask her to do the job. Akhila Gauri Shankar of PMI. She was great help to me to support in such emergencies. Thanks to you, Akhila. We too have not met, but your response was tremendous.
Sir,
no words to
I just
congratulate
did a minuscule of a job. You had done everything. I had to just represent. That's all. It was a great honor for me to do that. Thank you
Professor
so
Syria,
much, sir.
thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
great.
Thank you for all the way. Okay, Gokul, shall we call it a day? And we will meet
so with
next
this,
time.
Yes, sir.
so with this, we've come to an end of the Intersociety Weekly Webinar Series, Talk 89, the final talk shows during COVID, jointly organized by IEEE Kerala Section, the Institution of Engineers India Kerala State Center, Computer Society of India Trivandrum Chapter, Project Management Institute Kerala Chapter, Internet Society Trivandrum Chapter, Vakkom Moulavi Foundation Trust Trivandrum, life members of NITI Group IEEE Kerala Section, IEEE Engineering in Medicine and Biology Kerala Chapter, and the Institute of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering. So once again, thank you everyone and have a great time ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gopakumar B, thank you very much for your constant support. Dr. Panikar, Venkateshan, everywhere, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you next time.
See you next time.
Sultana is there. Thank you very much, Sultana.
Right.
I am, sir, of course. I will not miss your last session. Congratulations.
No, there is one more next week.
Yes, I know there's one more, which Professor Damodran is speaking at. So I shall look forward to that. So in the meantime, have a good rest and see you next week.
Okay.
See you next week. Thank you very much. Okay. Bye. Gokul, you can close it.
Yes, sir.